Hey folks, welcome back to the Pinnacle Insiders.
Brought to you by Chacho's Produce and Great China.
Alright, let's move on to the Spielman Conference now. What's the first game up, Wang?
It's the 6-5 Cetos versus the 3-8 Caspers.
Cito's still looking to, he's wrapped up his division. Congratulations to Joe Cito. Clinched his division this week. Now he's moving forward looking for that bye. Big game for him, inter-division. Casper's still sort of mulling around, struggling as an expansion team. And with that, with some of the struggles Casper's have, do you feel like Ryan Matthews is still a must-start?
I don't think he's a must-start anymore, but I do think he's a start this week for him. He's got some options here at running back. He's got Benson, and he's got Jacobs. Jacobs in his flex spot this week. He doesn't have anything else to put in his flex spot, so with Matthews there, the other option he has is Gerhardt with AP out. Gerhardt might be a start in some weeks over Matthews, but not this week. Atlanta's run defense is tough, and I think Denver's run defense is weak. So I would go with Matthews, but I'm not must-starting him anymore.
And by the way, folks, our special guest for this pick segment, Nick Gillard, is back from the Lebowski Urban Achievers to make some picks with us. On Cito's side, something that's become a little bit interesting, a little bit controversial. Do you think that Jordy Nelson is the best wide receiver on the Packers right now?
Well, statistically, yes. Statistically, he is the best wide receiver. But I don't know if that's because there's more attention to Jennings. I think that Jennings is still a better receiver. But for fantasy purposes, Jordy Nelson's the one to have.
All right, let's do some over-unders for these games.
Okay, over-under. I've got two of them here for you. For Josh, we're going to go with Tebow, 14.98.
I will take the over. I told you guys last week I'm done betting against Tebow. I can't do it. Nick?
Tebow?
Tebow.
He's garbage.
He's garbage.
I really think that, he's playing San Diego, which isn't a superstar team, but they got a good defense, and I think it shows what Tebow really is.
So you would take the under?
Absolutely. I don't even think he'll break into the double digits.
Okay. Next up?
Ron Rice, 13.3 against San Francisco's run defense. Ron Rice.
I believe that he meant Ray Rice. Ron Rice was a player back in the 70s.
Love Ron.
Had a good career.
70s? In the 90s.
I'm going to take the under. San Francisco has not allowed a rushing touchdown yet this season. I think that continues.
That's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
I'm going to have to take the over, only because Ray Rice isn't technically just a running back in Baltimore.
He's also a safety.
They like to play. They like to throw to him. They like the short passes, and I think that that's where he shines. So I really think that he's gonna open up that offense against a tough San Francisco defense and score over 13.
I tend to agree. I'm going to take the over on Ray. Don't call me Ron Rice.
All right, let's make some picks. Nick, special guest. Who do you like in this one?
I don't like either of these teams.
One has to win.
One has to win.
And I'm surprised one technically has to win.
One has to win.
But I'd have to go with the owner of I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
Beaver.
Going for the upset.
Yeah, I just don't see. Technically it's not an upset. He's projected to get more points. Wink.
This is true.
But
he is 3-8.
With Jordy Nelson going up against the Lions. I think Eric Wright's going to shut Jordy Nelson down. Ray Rice.
Not enough to pick Oakland, though, huh?
Even though I took Ray Rice for the over of 13. I don't think he's going to score like he did last week. So I don't see Joe's team scoring a ton of points. And I don't see either of these teams scoring a ton of points.
All right, Blue?
I am going to go with Cito.
I'm going to go with Cito as well. Wayne?
I have insider information close to the source telling me that Cito is still sticking with Flacco against the 49ers, even though Dalton's playing Cleveland. You like Cleveland? Well, Cleveland, why wouldn't he start against Cleveland? Cleveland has the best passing defense in the league, allowing only 167 yards per game and 10 touchdowns, only behind Baltimore and New York Jets. Joe Hayden's having a great year in Cleveland.
You do like Joe Hayden.
With that, I'm picking Cito.
I was going to go with Cito until I heard that little tidbit, so I tend to agree with Nick, and I'm going to take a B-Bird.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, what's next up on the docket?
Next up is 7-4 Josh versus 5-6 Neller.
Nope, that's not true.
That's not true. It is 5-6 Mitchell versus 2-9 Demetrius.
All right, so, an interesting game here. Mitchell is still on his losing streak. Blue, do you see this one as a must-win for Chris?
Yeah, well, it's not a must-win because he plays Neller next week. And if he beats Neller next week, he has tiebreakers over him. So even if Neller wins this week, as long as Mitchell can take care of his business next week, he'll be all right. It's very important for him to win. He needs to keep that momentum going, but it's not a must-win yet.
And something that's coming back for Demetrius this week, he's finally going to get Andre Johnson in his lineup. Do you think that Andre Johnson's first game back now with Matt Leinart at quarterback instead of Matt Chubb, does that have an impact on this game?
He's going to score points over replacement player. I don't see him having a big game because they're going to run. They're going to run with Leinart. Leinart will be a game manager. And even when they had Schaub, they still ran a ton. So I think they're going to run. They're like we said last week, they're the Green Bay Packers of the run game. They don't run, or they don't throw.
They don't throw. And then also we've got some late breaking news into the insiders. Fred Jackson has been officially ruled out for this Sunday's game. That affects Mitchell's lineup. He's got to move Gore out of the flex. Looks like he's moving Kellen Winslow into that flex spot. Does this hurt his team?
Yeah, it hurts his team.
I would say so.
Yeah, it hurts his team.
Man, done.
I tend to agree.
Thank you.
We all tend to agree.
We all agree with that. Let's do some over-unders for this one.
Okay, I got a good over-under here. I got one for both teams. You got Gates plus Davis, 2 tight ends, 30.9 for Demetrius.
I will take the under. I think that Gates probably gets somewhere in the 15-17 range. But Vernon Davis going up against the Ravens, tough linebackers in coverage, going to get to Alex Smith. He's probably not even going to get into the double digits. Nick, you're just sitting there.
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand these projections because there's no way that those guys are going to score that many points between the two of them. I mean, one might get the over, one might get the under, but I don't see these teams doing very well.
Okay.
These tight ends.
So you would take the under.
I'll take
You would take the under. Next.
I'm going to take the over. I think Vernon Davis is going to be a target this week against Baltimore, and Gates is dangerous, and he's playing against Denver.
Okay. Next over.
The next over-under, the next tight ends, Hernandez plus Winslow for Mitchell, 22.9.
I'm again going to take the under. As much as you might think that Brady's going to look for Hernandez, I disagree because the evidence is there that he's going to look for Gronkowski. And as far as Kellen Winslow goes, that offense is struggling right now.
Well, I think that Brady's going to have some play time in this one against Philly. I think that he's going to try to, dispel some of these rumors that he is a racist quarterback and throw to some of his multicultural wide receivers and tight ends.
Nick?
I think Brady's racist too.
Okay. You heard it here first.
And he's not going to try to fight it, so you're taking the under.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the under.
No,
He's throwing to Gronkowski.
Welker.
He's going to throw to Welker. He's not going to throw to Ocho. He's not going to throw to Branch.
All right, let's make some picks.
Okay.
Nick, who do you like in this one? Wait. Who do you think's going to win in this one? Let me rephrase.
You like nobody.
We know you like nobody.
I'm definitely going to have to go say what again. I mean, even though I've been giving Mitchell a hard time about the trade I made with him, it wasn't a bad trade. Drew Brees is a superstar in this league, and I think after a bye week and after having a couple rough weeks for Mitchell, I think coming back against the Giants, I think he's going to stand out. I mean, Brees steps up against tough defenses and shows what he's got. So I like Chris.
Blue?
I'm going to go with Demetrius this week. Demetrius is fighting. His team looks hot right now. Cam Newton's on fire. Maurice Jones-Drew. Andre Johnson's back. And what I really like is Percy Harvin minus AP. I think they're going to use him in the backfield as a running back, and I think they'll use him a lot in the passing game.
Wayne, who do you like in this one?
I like Neller. No, Demetrius in this one. I'm sorry. Newton, I think, is going to have
the game of the week. Wayne.
Good foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Newton is going to have a huge game, I think, and Gates is finally 100%. And he usually shows up against Denver, their rival. Andre Johnson will not probably have a usual Andre Johnson game. Probably have about 10 fantasy points because Matt Leinart is under center and they will pound the rock like they've said.
Jim, you look like you have something to add.
I tend to agree. I'm going to go with Demetrius on this. I think it's going to be a cakewalk for him. I think Cam Newton's going to really pull his team to a victory.
I'm going to take Mitchell. I think even with the loss of Jackson, Gore and McCoy have a chance to have good weeks. Baltimore's run defense, a little bit suspect this year, so I think Gore maybe scores some points. What's next on the docket, Wayne?
7-4 Josh versus 5-6 Neller.
This is the game of the week.
Game of the week.
Spielman Conference. Joe Neller's still 2 games back, but same situation Nick's in. He can actually win the division. If he gets a big enough win, wins out, and Josh loses out. On Josh's side of things, sort of a surprise. His running backs are starting to come on strong to support his wide receivers and Aaron Rodgers. What are your thoughts on his running backs?
Well, he's got Hardesty and Agabaganaga, and they're going to be battling neither of them are very good, and they're battling. So if one of them's not getting most of the carries, I don't think you can trust either one of them. Those 2 running backs aren't as good, but Blount is still a beast, but it seems like he's hit or miss. That offense isn't very good. They don't run a lot, and when they do, they can usually hold them, and that offensive line doesn't look very good. But I do like Michael Bush, and I think he's a stud as long as McFadden is out. So as long as he can stay out, I think Josh has a good advantage there with Michael Bush.
All right, Neller, are you surprised at all that he's in the playoff hunt after his slow start? Talked about it last week. He had a really big winning streak, lost last week, but still in the hunt. Does that surprise you at all?
Well, no, because when your team is poor and there's a lot of free agents available, you can make moves quicker than teams who are deeper. Sometimes if you have a deep roster, you're not willing to let go of somebody. When your team sucks, you can easily go and get somebody who's available, and you can cut ties with guys that you don't like anymore.
And again, on Josh's side of things, he can clinch not only a division with this win, but if Cito loses, he clinches a first-round bye for the 2nd year in a row. So, really important game on his side of the things. Let's do some over-unders for this one.
I've got 2 here. We're going to stick with running backs in this one. You got LeGarrette Blount against Tennessee's run defense. Tennessee's run defense allows 18.8 points a game, and Blount is projected for under that at 17.8.
I'm going to take the under. I think Tennessee, they do a good job of stopping the run, and Tampa Bay unfortunately abandons the run. Blount had a good week last week, but half of the yardage and the touchdown came on one big run. So it's tough to predict what he's going to get. Nick?
I don't even know what you guys are really talking about.
Thanks for being here.
But I would like to add something really quick.
Yes.
That run against Blunt was one of the best runs I've ever seen in my life. And the saddest part about that run is Joe Buck was calling it.
Yeah, it wasn't very
and that
good.
was probably the worst call of all time ever. And
Okay.
But no, Blunt, I don't think he's a very good fantasy running back.
Okay.
Because Tampa Bay loves to throw the ball.
Jim?
There was on the NFL channel, Deion Sanders did a recap of that, and he called that run one of the best calls I have ever heard. I recommend listening to that call.
You heard it here first at Pinnacle Insiders.
Interesting. Yeah, Blue?
I am going to go with the under. If he doesn't get that one big run, I don't see him getting 17 points.
Next.
The next player is for Neller, another running back, McGahee. McGahee is not even in his lineup right now. Should he be? And the over-under is 17.3 at San Diego. San Diego allows 17.3 points to running back, so they're right at that number.
Well, I think the reason he's not off his lineup is Jonathan Stewart playing Indianapolis. When you've got someone playing the Colts, you play them, especially this year. Unfortunately, Peyton Manning is hurt, so even the hot dogs taste bad in Indianapolis. Everything's going wrong.
Can't park, I heard.
Can't park. But, having said that, I will say I would take the over with McGahee. It looks like he's finally healthy. And like you said, San Diego gives up a lot of points. So I would start McGahee, even though Stewart's playing the Colts. I'm not even going to look over here. Let's pick some games.
Whoa. Nick has something to say. He can say it.
Oh.
Nick?
I think you should play McGahee.
Denver, they're going to run.
They're going to run.
They run the ball. They don't even throw it.
Over.
Yeah,
All right.
take the over.
Let's make some picks. I'm going to take Neller in this one.